This is Drop Tent Media Network.
High IQ basketball with Brian Isley and Raymond Byrd. What's going on, bro?
I'm gonna go for like a quadruple double. You playing again?
And welcome to another edition of High IQ basketball with Brian Isley and Raymond Byrd. I am, of course, Brian Isley. Raymond Byrd couldn't make it today, so I brought my guy to assist me. Red Cup Rand is back in the building, and we have a very, very, very special guest. I talked to this gentleman. I want to say around 5-6 years ago when I was on another basketball show, and it was one of the best basketball conversations I ever had in my life. I've been reading this man's work since I was 13, 14 years old, and Slam magazine is now celebrating their 30th anniversary, and this guy is a big reason for that. We like to welcome to High IQ basketball, the one and only Scoop Jackson. Scoop, what's going on, sir?
What's going on, fellas? How you all doing, man?
I'm good, man.
Wait, Rand is in the building. I should have had my red cup next to me.
Listen, I'm taking it easy today, man. I was turned up last episode when I had my real red cup, but I'm chilling. It's too early today.
There you go. We got to make up for it. We
do. Let's do that.
Definitely. You know what? The last time we talked, I think it was around Cinco de Mayo. That's when everybody get their drink on. So we should do that again.
Yeah, no doubt. And I'm like Rand. I got an actual like non-plastic red cup. I got an actual porcelain red cup, like for real.
Yeah, you gotta check out the last episode he was on. It's called Liquid Courage.
There you go.
It was one of those ones.
It was one of those ones, man.
There
we gonna get right into it. I told you how the show goes. We got 4 quarters, 4 topics, and then we have an OT, but it's not overtime. It's off topic where we discuss something non-basketball related. We're gonna start with quarter number 1. Slam.
Cool.
30 years.
Yeah.
What was it like in the very beginning? Take us through the beginning stages of this legendary publication.
It was really, man, because I came in issue 3. Tony Gervin and I, who's editor-in-chief, who really kind of shaped what the magazine became. We came in together at issue 3. He came in like a week before I came in, and the publisher, Dennis Page, tracked my number down in Chicago, and he reached out to me. He contacted me because Slam's original staff basically kind of exited. Backstory to the backstory is that Slam Magazine and Vibe Magazine started off at the exact same time.
Wow.
And Vibe started off as a magazine that Quincy Jones started in connection with Time Warner, who does Time, Sports Illustrated, People, the conglomerate, the media conglomerate. And they basically launched both magazines around the same time. And after 2 issues of Slam, I think he had 5 people on staff. 4 of them left for opportunities at Vibe. They just booked. So basically, Dennis was down to one person. His name was Dave Lewis. So he had to hire another editor-in-chief to replace. I think Corey Johnson left and went over to Time. And he found Tony Gervin. And I think the next call he made was he tracked me down to Chicago because I was doing a lot of freelance work. I was working with a lot of hip hop magazines. I had my own magazine at the time. And he was familiar with my writings and my byline, but I had never written about basketball before. So he tracked me down, called me. We chopped it up for a bit. And the funny part of that is that I had already sent Slam. I sent Slam and Vibe magazine my whole little media package of all the work I was doing. And when Dennis called, I said, man, all my information is sitting somewhere in your office. He said, well, I don't have it. He said, I don't find it. I'm just calling you based on the stuff I've read of your work. So I just want to know, would you have any interest? Do you have any interest in sports? And would you have any interest in writing about basketball? And I'm like, dude, I'm from Shaq. you know.
Right.
It's like, right. Come on now. That's part of our DNA. And he literally said, I just hired a new editor-in-chief, Tony DeVito. I'm gonna put you all in touch with one another, and you all basically take it from there. And literally, that's what happened. You know, got on the phone with Tony, and we kind of took it from there.
And the first piece you ever wrote?
Here's the funny thing. The first assignment Tony gave me was, with me being in Chicago, the Nike All-American camp was having this summer high school basketball camp here in Chicago. And he said, could you give me a 350-word story on a basketball camp? Because it's right in your back door. I'm like, you know, good, I got it. You know, went through the people at Nike. He didn't know at the time that my quote-unquote uncle was running the Nike basketball camp. You know, a legend by the name of Forrest Harris. And Forrest is like an uncle to me. His nephew and I were in first grade together. His son and I have been playing basketball together our whole lives. So he was like damn near a family member. He actually lived 3 doors down from my actual auntie. So I'm like, you know, Nike camp is easy for me, even though I had not been, you know, but I said, no, Uncle Forrest runs that camp. I'm easy. I got it. I'm in. And I knew once I got in, I was going to have all access. So I took advantage of that. And that was my first assignment. And it was an amazing experience because this was 1994.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Garnett is in that camp before he even came to Chicago. Paul Pierce is in that camp. Vince Carter's in that camp. Shea Cotton as a sophomore was in that camp, you know, and it was just crazy. And
Ronnie Fields?
Ronnie was not there yet.
Okay.
Ronnie came to the one after that.
Okay.
Because Kevin was only a junior.
Got it.
Right. You know, Kevin had just finished his junior year, and Ronnie had just finished his sophomore year. You know? And I think the only sophomore in there was probably Shea Cotton, because they had a California squad that took over and ran the whole camp, and they never lost the entire week during the camp. The California squad was ridiculous. But it was insane. But after the camp, you know, I finished Tony's assignment. I said, all right, he wants, 350 words on the camp. But I've always been in the philosophy of sometimes you got to lose $1 million to make $2 million.
Mm-hmm.
And so what Tony didn't know, because we didn't have that type of relationship, we were just getting to work with one another. He didn't know if I could really write or not. Because keep in mind, it was the publisher who was familiar with my work, Dennis Page. I didn't know if Tony was or not. He just said, I'm handing you over to Tony, y'all take it. So in my mind, Tony's messing with me just on the status that the publisher gave him. He's like, yo, we don't have any real writers yet. We don't have anything like, I got one for you, use them. That's it. So when I turned the 350-word story in the camp in, I also said, let me send Tony a full story of this camp. Because 350 word doesn't do justice to what I saw covering this camp. But also, I want to let him know I can write. Because they've never seen me write about sports before. Even if he does know my work, I've never written about sports or basketball.
Right.
So right after I sent him 350 words, I sent him a 1,200-word story on the camp. They said, here's what you asked for. Here's what I'm giving you. And I think that 1,200-word story is what made him believe that I could write and started trusting me. Because right after that, he was like, man, that story was dope. I wish I could run it. I can't run it, but the Dream Team 2 is having their practice in Chicago in 2 weeks. Do you think you can get there and get us a story on Shaq? Let's go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Once again, I sent him a 1,200-word story without any money attached to it, just on the, on the basis of, here's what I have the capability of doing.
Right.
And by not getting paid for that story, losing that $1 million gave me $2 million, because that let Tony know that, all right, this is somebody I can fuck with.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so lost $1 million, got $2 million, and we got And that was our first cover story. That Shaq story wound up being our cover story. And I wound up getting Q&A with Shaq, and he wound up being the cover story. And that was my first issue of Slam. That was Tony's first issue of Slam. We put it out, and we kept it running from there.
And here we are 30 years later.
Right, exactly. Ed 30 years and Hall of Fame inductee later, because we got 2024, the magazine will be inducted along with Dennis Page, the publisher, into the Hall of Fame. This coming up August.
I will be there.
My man.
I will be there.
I'll be the brother walking around with a red cup, so you'll find me.
I'm gonna bring Rand with me too. He's gonna have his red cup too.
I'm probably gonna have two because you got to stay balanced. You know what I'm saying?
Facts. I covered the Hall of Fame for about 4 or 5 years, man. So to see Slam go in is gonna be extra dope. Because it's my favorite magazine ever. So
thank you, man. Thank you. We tried to do our thing. So
yeah, definitely. What's your favorite cover? Besides, I know the default answer is the AI 99. I know that's everybody's answer, but outside of that.
Well, to me, no, it's not even that. And it's not even the 96 cover with all the, the Ready or Not fold. My favorite cover Slam, I think it was issue 5. It's a facial shot of Michael Jordan. And it's a shot of Michael just screaming. And it's just his face. And the only thing on the cover is Mike. Tony wrote it vertically. And it's an amazing shot because it's a shot that nobody ever seen before. And the intensity of the shot. It's always been my favorite Slam cover because I remember Slam started and Michael Jordan retired.
Yeah. And
I remember Dennis panicking like, I've started a magazine and Michael Jordan has retired. This is crazy. He's like, hey, am I going to be able to stay in business? And when Michael came back, that's when Tony said, all right, we got to do a story on Michael coming back. And he handed me the responsibility of writing the story. But he's like, everybody's going to have an image of Michael that whatever is going to be like, it's going to be played. He went in the NBA photo vault and found this unused picture of just Mike's face screaming. It's almost like I think he's sitting on the bench, but all you see is his face. He's screaming, and you see the sweat and you see the intensity. I'm like, that says everything this magazine is supposed to be about. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that nobody had used this image before. That's always and will always be my favorite cover ever. Because I think it speaks to everything that was happening at the time. It spoke for Slam Magazine being unique and doing something that nobody in the industry was even thinking about doing. Taking that risk, keeping it very minimal, but having power and impact. Like, there's not a lot of words, all this and the other. All it said was Mike. That says it all. Mm-hmm. So that's always gonna be my favorite cover. Always.
Yeah, and I feel like that was a great question. Rand, why are you looking at me all crazy?
But why do you think the AI one is everyone's pick?
Because it is everyone's pick.
I think the dopest one, I don't know what year it was the Melo when he went back to the Knicks. I think it was it was like the New Jack City cover.
Oh yeah.
That one was fire. I think he had like the 3 chains on the New Jack joint where he's dressed up as like Nino. That's the most fire cover. Everyone ain't on AI like you, man. AI wasn't.
No, I'm saying that's the general consensus.
Is it Scoop?
Yeah, everybody loves that cover because it's you talking about the one where he had the blowout, right? Yeah, that's because nobody ever seen Allen with his hair. Like that. He's always been in braids before, when he was in Georgetown, it was always like cutting Little Caesar, but
not that one.
Nobody ever seen him like that. And the concept of that cover to me is what stands out, conceptually, because, we tried to do a throwback issue. It's not only presenting Allen Iverson there, it's a throwback issue. So we got the concept with the ABA basketball, taking it back to the ABA days where we had him trying to look like Dr. J in Philly. It was the introduction of the world to Mitchell and Ness because nobody knew who Mitchell and Ness was till we got that jersey made. Mm-hmm. It's the fact that, to me, the best part of that photo is the fact that we allowed the wife beater to be shown under the jersey.
Mm-hmm.
And if that ain't no hood shit, I don't know what is, but
that's definitely hood shit.
But what we're saying is that none of the other magazines would have let that happen. They would have, oh, wait, we have to adjust the jersey. So, no, we're like, that's how we're rolling. This is what we do. We understand the importance of little things like that. So there's a lot of things that work on behalf of that cover that resonates with people. And for me, it resonates with me because I understand the attention to detail and what the concept was to get that across. I also understand, the concept of the Showbiz and KG cover where we had Stephon Marbury and Kevin Garnett on the cover. Yeah. And that whole play on Showbiz and AG, Showbiz and KG, and them iced out and doing that thing in Minnesota, that tandem there. I also understand one of my favorite covers was putting Ray for Austin on the cover with the tagline, the best point guard in the world you never heard of. Because nobody had heard of Skip to My Lou. And this was before the AM1 mixtape stuff. You know what I'm saying? Right. So stuff like that, when you're talking about favorite covers, there's sometimes stuff that goes on beyond the cover. You know what I'm saying? That tells the story of the whole cover. Like to me, the Mike thing stands out because it's not just Mike. It's the fact that it's Mike's return. Now, just looking at the cover, you don't know that because it doesn't say Mike's return. It just says Mike. So in just looking at the cover, all you see is Michael Jordan screaming, which still nobody's used a cover like that before. But me knowing the backstory of when that cover was released and what was behind that, that's what resonates with me. The same thing with the concept of the AI old school issue cover. That, this is a basic homage to Dr. J, the whole Philly connection. All that stuff goes into that. And that's what makes it deeper than what it is. To me, even though it's really simple, the Shamika Holdsclaw cover is crazy.
Bro.
Right, because we put a female player in the NBA jersey that had never been done before. And that's basically us saying she's good enough to go in the NBA.
Okay, can I tell you a story?
Yeah.
That cover is so polarizing because my dad is a diehard Knicks fan. And when he saw that, he didn't know what to think.
Right.
Because you were implying that, she's this good that people want her drafted to the NBA and play for the Knicks. And he was like, what the hell? Are you kidding me? But he knew how nice she was because we watched her all the time. He was like, yo, Shamika to the Knicks? I'm like, it's not happening, but it's dope that people think it could happen.
Right. That was our thing, the thought. So, I mean, once again, if you look at that right now, that story is not connected to it because you're just looking at Shamika. And I think the WNBA is so far along, people may not already connect to that. And, young folks may think that's an old Liberty jersey. They may not even know, the story behind what was happening at that time. But me understanding it and you all understanding it, that's what I think makes the covers so great and why you can't go wrong with whatever cover you choose, because it may not just be the cover itself that makes you say, this is what I think is the best cover. This is what my favorite cover is. Sometimes it's a story behind it. You know what I'm saying? It's a story behind what made this cover pop at that time, or the reasoning behind this cover, popping at the time. Once again, like I said, the Ray for Austin thing is amazing because the And1 revolution had not started yet. The And1 tapes had not been released yet. So when we say nobody had heard or Skip to My Lou, unless you were in New York, up at Rucker, or at Cardozo High School where he barely played, unless you were in that New York mix of basketball, you had no idea who Skip to My Lou was. So to put this dude on the cover of the magazine is one thing, but then to look what he revolutionized after that cover. I can sit up here and say that's my favorite cover because of what happened after that, what it means for now.
Right.
Because that one dude at 14 years old revolutionized basketball.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that cover, the meaning behind that cover gives it credence. It gives it impact. It gives it importance. So I think, there's a lot of answers, and AI becomes an easy fallback, for a lot of people because of the look of the cover. But I could argue that could be the greatest one because of the story behind it and the concept behind it. So we can go through a whole bunch of covers, dude. A whole bunch.
Yeah, definitely. But we gotta get into quarter number 2, and this quarter we're gonna get into your relationship and Slam's relationship with the late great Kobe Bryant. I was reading 3 Ring Circus by Jeff Pearlman, and he told the story about how you kind of consoled Kobe after he was booed in All-Star Game 2002 right here in Philly. Could you take us back to that time and tell us what happened?
Yeah, it was after the All-Star Game, and people forget that All-Star Game in Philly took place the year after the Lakers had beat the 76ers in that NBA Finals.
Right.
So this is really kind of like Kobe's return home to a certain degree. And even though he's from the Philly area, you know, Kobe had this belief, you know, that Philly's his home, you know, and he didn't look at himself in Philly, especially during the All-Star Game, as the enemy. He's like the hometown kid. You know, the prodigal son came back to the crib and here I am. So when he did his thing, you know, when Kobe does Kobe and he wound up getting MVP, when the boos came down, he couldn't understand it. Even though he held it in check, you know, at the podium, you know, with Commissioner Stern and all this and the other, he got it. And I don't even think in that moment he realized that a lot of the boos weren't for him. They're because, dude, you the dude that 6 months ago took our team, you know. Y'all, we still hold on to that. This is Philly. You beat our Sixers, dude. You know, yeah, we know you from Philly, but the Sixers is us. We not go cheer for the end. You the enemy right now.
Yeah.
You know, right. You're the enemy. You as long as like Philly got a chance to go back and play you all again, you know, you are our enemy. And I don't think he internalized it like that. So for him, he went in with a different understanding of how he felt Philly was going to feel about him in that moment. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If it was a few years later and Philly had beaten Boston, or if it was, you know, a year earlier and I'm gonna say the Lakers had beat Boston, or if it was before that and Lakers had beaten the Pacers, a whole different story. But you had just come out the back and beaten the 76ers in the finals, you know, and there was this belief that the 76ers had finally gotten to a point that, hey, we could get back in the finals again. So this may be, you know, we can repeat on this thing. Yeah, Kobe, you the enemy right now, dude. You know, Philly ain't gonna love you. You Santa Claus in Philly right now. we ain't loving you. And I think coming off the court, he didn't internalize it in that moment. And just like in most arenas, man, you know, there's a space between coming off the court and getting to the locker room. And it's that kind of dead area where you're coming, it's kind of like a little tunnel where there's really nobody there. There's not a lot of people because you don't get into the vestibule of what is the undercurrent of an arena and walk from that undercurrent to the locker room, wherever locker rooms are. In this particular case, it's like right below the stands and the bleachers or right in that area. I just happened to be standing there where you could see kind of the court, but off court. And I just happened to be standing there because I wasn't on the court for the presentation of the MVP trophy. And after everything's over, I'm standing there and he's walking by there and happened to be the only one there. And I see him and he sees me. And it's really kind of just us. And he's walking off without trophy. So he's beyond sight. Not necessarily beyond sound, but he's beyond sight of anyone on his way back to the locker room. And he sees me. And the first thing he says is like, yo, what the fuck? You know, and that was, I think, his first time dealing with it out of sight, where he could really like, you know, like, what the hell was that about? You know, why are they booing me? You know, I'm their own. And he just looked at me like, what the fuck? And he had to say anything else. You can see it in his eyes, you know, because he's like, he really didn't understand it. And I just stopped him. I look, man, you got to understand. Sometimes it takes time for people to get it. And eventually, man, they'll get it. And that's all I told him. And the next thing I said was, because he's really standing in front of me, and I could feel he wasn't crying, but you could feel the emotions like coming out of him. And he was like doing this, even though tears were coming. He was like, he really didn't get it. He was hurt. And all I did at that time, I tapped him in his chest. I said, look, man, it took the world a long time to understand Muhammad Ali. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing I had, because I'm like, Ali went through a lot of hate.
Yeah.
And it took the world a long time to come around what he was about and what he meant. Exactly. And I think that connected with him. And that was me just pulling something out of my ass to try to make him understand that it takes time for people to, get who you are and what you represent at times. And I didn't have that whole Philly thing in my mind at the time. All I had was like, dude, it's going to take them time to understand who you are and what you represent. I wasn't thinking the Philly thing. I was just thinking just in life, hell, Kobe might've got booed in LA the way they felt about him, with the whole Shaq Kobe thing going on. It's like, Kobe was one of the most misunderstood athletes we'd have, but Kobe didn't do himself any favors by trying to let the world understand him. He didn't give a fuck. Kobe's like, I was going to ask you,
was that self-inflicted?
A lot of it was. I won't say that all of it was, but a lot of it was. But a lot of it wasn't self-inflicted on purpose. He just didn't care. How the public felt about him was secondary to what his mission was. And his mission was to exercise that ghost that was Michael Jordan as the greatest player who ever played the game. He wanted to erase that. He wanted to replace it with himself. Yeah. And everything that came in his way of doing that to him was his own enemy. So, Phil Jackson was his enemy. Shaquille O'Neal was his enemy. His teammates were his enemy. Anybody who played against was his enemy.
Facts. I read Three Ring Circus, man. That shit is crazy.
Yeah.
The stuff that he was going through. Yeah.
That was his mentality. And he came as close as anyone to reaching that and making that come true, of him being looked at as one of the greatest, if not the greatest, or replacing the greatest who ever played the game. So his mission was successful. What he didn't understand, though, was, even though he didn't, he's like, I don't expect Philly to really get me or understand me, but I expect Philadelphia, my hometown, to embrace me for trying to become this dude. Yeah. Like, Philly should be proud of what I've been able to achieve as being somebody from here, especially in the exhibition game. Now, in Kobe's mind, when they play the games, the away games in the NBA Finals, he gets that. He gets the booing, he gets the hatred. But this is not that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? This is a game of fun. And in Kobe's mind, if I can compartmentalize this, it's easily, y'all can. Y'all should be happy for a brother. It didn't work that way, and he couldn't understand that. And in my mind, when I was talking to him in that moment, I hadn't processed all of that at that time either. But I did understand where the boos were coming from. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But at the time, and explaining to him and breaking it down, I ain't had the same type of time to say that to him the same time I'm having with you all.
Right.
Yeah. All I had to him was, I'm going to try to make sense to make you understand that it's not just you. This is how sometimes the world reacts to greatness, and trust me, as great as you are, bro, you ain't Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And the world hated him. And I wasn't going to pull the world hates Jesus thing either. You know what I'm saying? I just, I felt that Muhammad Ali was the good one. And I think that was the right thing to say in that moment, because all he said was, all right, I get it. I get it. All right, it makes sense. I got you. He gave me a hug, pulled his emotion in check. Sorry, man, we'll talk later. I appreciate you, dog. He kept it moving. I kept it moving. And I think that was one of those things in my mind. And because of the relationship Kobe and I had, that I was the right person at the right time for him in that moment.
Got you.
You know what I'm saying? And I think I said the right thing for him. That's something that he needed to hear, to put it all in perspective for him in a short period of time in that moment, that made him able to move forward and go into the locker room and deal with other media members and deal with, other, players and, all that other shit.
Word.
So yeah, it was a moment that I think I was grateful that I happened to be the person, that was there for him at that moment.
All right. Scoob, I got a quick question. Is relevant to Kobe, and as much basketball as you cover in your career, this may be easy or difficult for you, but sticking with Kobe, where do you put him specifically number-wise and your top all time?
Here we go.
Okay, here's the thing. I'll put it to you this way. This is the best way I can put it, because I haven't given Kobe a number on the list, because one, I kind of don't function like that. Okay. But hear me out, because this is the best answer I can give you. Is that I have a Mount Rushmore. Mm-hmm. And my Mount Rushmore is solid, not in order, but who's on it. My Mount Rushmore is Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Magic Johnson, Bill Russell. That's my Mount Rushmore. Okay. Who's at number 5? I can't say, because I can't, I know in my mind, I could argue Oscar Robertson for me. I could argue Kobe Bryant. I could argue Tim Duncan. Mm-hmm. I could argue Steph Curry. Mm-hmm. Those in my mind, I could argue 5. But I can't split between I can't put them in order yet. I haven't gone that far to do that, because I haven't really put, I probably could say that maybe if I thought about it, don't hold the 9 mil to my head, but I could probably say Mike, LeBron, Magic, and Russell in that order. I may flip Bill and Magic, maybe, not sure, okay. But in my mind, I look at players who revolutionized the game. It's not about stats. It's not about championships. It's not about impact to a degree. It's all of those categories. There's so many categories that go into what I feel is the overall criteria for what we consider GOATness or GOATness in the context of greatness. And those 4, not only stand out from most of the categories, but there's also a revolutionary category that goes into what they contributed and what they did to the game of basketball and how they rose that level that I put in. And that's why they're in my particular Mount Rushmore, because each one of those individually changed the way the game was seen and played and influenced. You know what I'm saying? So
understood.
But to say Oscar Robertson's 5 and Kobe is 6, I haven't done that yet. To say Tim Duncan's 5 and Kobe's 6, I haven't done that. To say Kobe's 5 and Steph Curry's 6, and then after that, I haven't done that yet. And I did, because I haven't broken it down that way number wise. But I can say this: the only reason I don't have Kobe in my Mount Rushmore is because it's very, very hard for me to separate. And this is basically, it's hard for me to separate Kobe's greatness from Tim Duncan's greatness. Now, if we're dealing with style of play, that's different. Mm-hmm. But that becomes a preference.
Yep.
Not necessarily. I want you all to do something. And I've asked other people to do this in the past. Okay. Please, and I'm not just dealing with stats. I'm dealing with accolades. I'm dealing with, what you've achievements as well. And stats are different than achievements. Mm-hmm. Stats are different than accolades. Stats are different than influence. There's other things that go into there, even though you can look at them as statistical numbers or awards or honors. They're still not stats, are just numbers. I'm looking at all of these things. Really go look at the numbers and look at the honors of Tim Duncan and Kobe Bryant and look at how Siamese they are. Mm-hmm. It's incredible how close they are. So you really, to say that one in my mind is greater than the other, that's fine, but there can't be that much separation. You know
Understood.
what I'm saying?
Understood.
Got it.
Yep.
And placing Kobe on a Mount Rushmore, but not having Tim Duncan there, to me is unfair because they're that close.
Understood.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. That's
to me,
fair.
and that's the reason I can't do it. And to me, Bill Russell is the greatest defensive player to ever play this game. And if you don't acknowledge what he did defensively, you're saying defense is not half the game of basketball, and defense is.
Scoop,
it really is.
We've argued on previous episodes about Bill Russell.
Yeah, we have, and we would like to right now, but we got to get into the third quarter. Scoop, that's an excellent description. That's an excellent explanation on the Mount Rushmore. I'm kind of we talked the last time we talked. You didn't even have Bron ahead of Magic yet. So it's good to see that in the last 6 years that's changed.
Yeah, it has changed because of what LeBron has done in the last 6 years. You know, and I'm not wanting to, just there's one thing about longevity, but there's a different thing about longevity and doing what he's been doing. Mm-hmm. In my mind, like LeBron's last 3 to 4 years have been equal to anything he's done before. And it's not because of the age, it's because there's been very little drop off, man. There's no way, and I was mad at LeBron for not winning that scoring title a couple of years ago. You know, where he could have played the last game and won the scoring title. Stop that, man. Come on, stop that. Because all of these things add up into your legacy conversation. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
And you have to understand, and I understand you're not trying to be selfish, but sometimes in life, when you're at this space where you're in a two-man conversation of the greatest to ever play, and one thing can tip the scale and one thing can't.
You gotta go get it.
Right.
You gotta have that on your resume.
You gotta go get it.
Because that's part of your legacy argument.
Okay.
You know, and when you're fighting against a ghost, where I'm glad you got an assist title, because your assist title is something that Michael doesn't have, but it still doesn't eclipse the Defensive Player of the Year title, that Michael does have that you don't have on your resume. So having another scoring title against a guy who got 10 of them, you need that. You know what I'm saying? You kind of need that on your resume.
Yeah, I mean, but adding the second, and we got to get into halftime after this, but adding the second score title to somebody who has 10 is like adding a grain of sand to a desert. That shit don't add up.
But, well, I'll put it this way. If that's the only thing you got going for you, then yeah, you need it. It's like saying, okay, let's go back to Kobe Bryant. In all honesty. Kobe Bryant only got one MVP. One. Mm-hmm. Now, we all know there's no way in hell this man should walk away with his career by having only one MVP. He's much more than a one MVP great. You know what I'm saying?
Got you. Yeah.
Now, if Kobe had 2 MVPs, that puts him closer in the argument if you want to argue that he's greater than Jordan. That puts him in the argument if you want to say he's greater or great as LeBron James. If you want to put him in that Magic Johnson thing. It helps to have an extra one. It always helps. Now, once again, he didn't have any assist title. You know what I'm saying? He didn't have a Defensive Player of the Year title. But the one other MVP helps when you're arguing against Mike, who has 6. So, yes, you're right. It's like a grain of sand, but it's still sand. You know what I'm saying? So you need, right? You need as much sand as possible, at least to be in the conversation. Now, it's a difference between comparing a beach in Chicago and Philly to a beach in Los Angeles. Because folks in LA is like, that's not a beach, that's a sandbox. Y'all call it a beach. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right.
Our beaches in LA stretch miles. But in our mind, look, it's still a beach to us. It's our beach, we own it. So I hear what you're saying about like throwing, an extra scoring title in there. But if that's what you're going to call a beach in this argument, just stand on it.
All right. Okay. And we got to get into halftime on that note. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. This is High IQ Basketball. This is halftime, and halftime is sponsored by If You Know, You Know Trivia Games. This is a trivia game created by a great friend of mine and friend to the show, Saquon Gillette. If You Know, You Know is a 90s to 2020s hip-hop and R&B trivia game. Is created by Saquon Gillette. As I said, it's Star Corner Production, Star Corner Games, and it's the game you never knew you needed. Guaranteed to have you singing, dancing, laughing, and reminiscing. You'll probably learn something too in the most fun way ever. It's for ages 13 and up. Because with hip hop we have explicit lyrics. But yeah, if you know trivia game, get it on Amazon and wherever games are sold. That is our halftime sponsor. And we are back. This is High IQ Basketball with Brian Isley and Raymond Byrd. We heading into quarter 3. Oh, I got Red Cup Rand with me. Red Cup Rand is in the building, and the legendary Scoop Jackson. Quarter number 3. Scoop, man, I've been wanting to ask you this for a while. Shaq has been talking about this G14 classification policy where only legends and high-level players can truly speak on a game and give a decent take on basketball. He's had some words recently with Mad Dog Russo from ESPN telling Mad Dog, and I quote, "Shut the fuck up, Mad Dog." We'll get your take too, Rand. Matter of fact, can you mind if we go with Rand first, and then we'll get to you. Rand, what's your take on Shaq's G14 classification law, and why is he singling out Mad Dog Russo?
Listen, I understand the premise of what he's trying to say.
Yeah.
I get he's trying to say if you've played the game, then you probably have more insight into the details and what it takes to really be efficient or effective in the game to speak about the game. But I'm not on the side of you need to play the game to be able to articulate and explain to the masses about the game. I'm not a fan of that at all. And quite frankly, I think many athletes, I think there's some that are great, but many athletes really struggle to articulate themselves on camera to explain things to the masses for people to really absorb it and understand it for those who are actually trying to learn about the game. So I understand the premise of what Shaq is saying. No one should be able to just get on a microphone and just start talking like they're an expert of something. I think that goes for any profession. But for sports specifically, if you have people like Scoop and Stephen A. and Mad Dog, listen, Mad Dog is a polarizing personality. He does it. That's his thing. Mad Dog do be talking that talk sometimes, though.
Facts.
Like, he do be talking that talk.
Facts.
I think if we really going to talk about it, if some of the analysts out there, I think Mad Dog, really do be getting into the details of a wide range of sports too, where you have some, we're not going to name no names, that just be hating on certain athletes and they just talk about them over and over and over and just knock athletes. I at least get from Mad Dog that he actually does try to critique the game most times and not try to take shots at the person. So that's really my perspective. I think a lot of athletes get upset when some of these analysts start taking shots at some of the greats, and we all know who some of those people are.
Yeah.
I don't think Mad Dog is one of those. Mad Dog is comical to me. His whole "What Got Mad Dog Mad" segment on Wednesdays is the best thing on First Take. It is hilarious.
Facts.
He is a great personality. I thought he was a great addition to Stephen A's show. So salute to Mad Dog. Shaq, I love you, my man. I get the premise of what you're saying, but I don't know if you have to play sports to be able to talk about sports.
And now I'll say this before I let Scoop go. Just to piggyback off you a little bit, Rand. I've always said this for years. Playing the game at a high level is one talent all by itself.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to articulate the nuances of the game and the strategies of the game is a different talent altogether. And sometimes you either have one or the other. Sometimes you could be blessed with both.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times some have zero.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the people that have neither one of them shouldn't be saying anything. But these are two totally different talents.
Mm-hmm.
To that you say, Scoop?
One, I think there's always exceptions to the rules. And I think there should be something said about if you contributed to this, that you have inside knowledge that most people don't. Mm-hmm. I get that. I also get that there are those in our medium, being the media, that say things, write things, and release things without taking everything in full consideration. And that opens the door for athletes to question not necessarily just our knowledge, but our integrity to what it is that we do. Mm-hmm. And I agree with you, Red Cup, is that I think Mad Dog is a great, great addition. I think, and Mad Dog's been doing it for a long time. But I think there are times when Mad Dog does say things that are counter to the full knowledge that he has when it comes to certain subject matters. Mm-hmm. Where that, and it's not disagreeing with Mad Dog or any other person in media, but that person is smarter than that. That person is not taking full account of what the point they're trying to make into consideration as they're saying it or as they're writing it. And, I don't know what that's about. I think it's sometimes for clicks and for ratings and for attention and for all this, that, and the other, for that bag or whatever it is, to stir controversy, to, keep their name, to know it's going to do something to people, make people talk or make people react. Sometimes it's just for reaction. I don't know, but there are things that we do in the media and members of the media that we know is beneath our own full intelligence, not just intelligence, our full intelligence, where we didn't give a full thought, where we didn't give comprehensive thought and time to what it is that we're standing on. And when we do not do that, that opens the door for most people, with specifically talk about athletes, to attack our credibility. Mm-hmm. And as members of the media, we should know better than that, and we should do a better job of protecting ourselves and our brothers and our sisters in this industry so that doesn't always happen. Yeah. Because if we do things that we're capable of doing to its fullest, if we do things the things that we do, and we do it in a way that's at our intellectual height, then it'll be more difficult for athletes to attack the fact that we haven't participated in the physical aspect of the game to know what the hell we're talking about. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I put that on us because we open those doors a lot of times in the media by doing some of the things that a lot of the members of the media happen to be doing. Now, that's one part. The second part is, because there's three parts of my response to this. The second part is this: athletes who are doing the exact opposite of what it is that we are doing. They are coming into a space once they get through playing that they really don't know how to do comprehensively because they know one part of it. And that is the speaking to the game. Mm-hmm. Now, it's not many athletes coming into the game that know what it is to report, to know what it is to gain information. Right. Mm-hmm. To get sources, how to decipher that information, how to decipher what's bullshit somebody's telling you, what's the real shit somebody's telling you. Athletes have not learned how to get out their own personal feelings on certain players and certain individuals to be able to be objective, fully objective in what it is that they're saying. Do we come back at them and say, hey, yo, slow your roll, dude, you haven't been in this game long enough. Yeah. You haven't played this game yet.
Because they sure do that to you.
Exactly. They do it to us like you don't know what you're talking about because you haven't played the game. You haven't played baseball. You never made it in the major leagues.
They pull that card quick.
Right. But we need to start doing the same thing to them when they come into the game. Like, dude, where'd you get your information? Because having full and comprehensive information is more than just being able to play the game.
Scoop, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't want to lose my thought. Out of any sport that exists out there, what athlete do you feel made the transition the best? And it'd be the same question to you too.
Right off the top of my head, Jay Billis.
Okay.
He took it back a little bit, but as of right now, I think Shannon Sharp is the top guy, hands down.
I would say I really like what JJ Redick does.
I love JJ too.
I think JJ's good. I think JJ's good. I think JJ has a tendency to be
smart ass.
Numbers driven. Numbers driven.
Okay.
And I think once again, if y'all understand, I'm a big proponent of being comprehensive.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't think we should be singular in thought, in mind, and expression when we communicate ideas to the public about addressing whatever subject matter it is. I think, you know, JJ has a tendency to be numbers driven, you know, and I'll just take, you know, just his assessment of Larry Bird's greatness. I get where he's coming from, but there's so much more than just looking at the numbers and percentages when you're evaluating Larry Bird's greatness.
Yeah.
So please take that in consideration. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
now, I'm not saying you should know more because you play the game. You know what I'm saying? But I'll put it to you this way. If JJ Redick had taken on a different medium to join the media, as opposed to being an announcer or a talking head, and came in as a writer, do you know how much pushback he get from an editor if he filed exactly what he said as a story?
A ton. It wouldn't get published.
Right. It'd be like, nah, JJ, you need to go back and get this. It has to go just beyond this. In order for you to stand on what you're saying, you need to balance this out. Yeah. And your point has to be stronger.
Yeah.
Now, coming into this game as a journalist, and I'm not just saying writing, just as a journalist as a whole, and all that comes in being a journalist, which comes with gathering information, making your stories comprehensive, and doing all of that. You know, how many athletes have been forced to be able to do that? And how many of them have had pushback from us the same way they have pushed back on us for not being able to play the game? How many of us has held them to the fire and say, hey, you haven't learned how to do this aspect of it. So until you learn how to do this aspect of it, yes, we're going to question your credibility.
I think Stephen A has done it a time or two. Only when people get at him and say, well, you haven't played. I think he said, well, I've been in this field. He'll say it quick. I've been in this field for 25, 30 years. Mm-hmm. You haven't.
I know, but that's different than saying how long you've been in it as opposed to you're not in it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Go back and that's different. I'm talking about calling them out on what they don't have the capability of doing or knowing in this field. Like you're entering the our field now. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? There's layers to this. There's stuff we studied, went to school, and been like really doing real groundwork. And in the information gathering business and how to shape that information, in telling full stories, in being unbiased in our approach at things. You know, when we're separating friendships and this is an old teammate of mine, so I'm not gonna go all in on him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That we can't do that, and players have the luxury of doing that and get away with it because we don't call them out the way they call us out. And it's in this, we're not calling them out for not having the ability to do this. Mm-hmm. We're just making the playing field levels like, okay, just as we are reporting on your business and your profession, you are now stepping into our profession. And here's where you don't have the credibility yet. And you may never have.
There's a great example for that, what you just said, where former players hold back on people that they like for fear of people coming back at him. Charles Barkley and Michael Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
Charles Barkley said that Jordan was not a good owner. And he was surrounded by yes men who told him what he wanted to hear instead of having a team in place to get the then Bobcats where they needed to go. And now they aren't friends anymore.
Here's the thing. That's the funny thing that happens in our business is that, and it happens all the time. A lot of us don't have the courage to do it because of what we lose when we do that. One of the most important things you can have as a journalist in this business is access. And most times you very rarely see journalists going after organizations. You see them going after individuals.
Yeah.
They maybe go after general manager, they may go after a player, this, that, and the other. But very rarely do you see them going after organizations. Because the one thing an organization could do is remove your access from their organization. That's the first lesson in media. Like, no, don't go after them, especially if you're working for an outlet that covers that organization. So the Philadelphia Inquirer is going to be very, very hesitant on going full in on saying something about the Philadelphia Eagles as an organization, because the minute they do, the Eagles will cut off all access to every writer they have to the organization. And once you don't have access, you're done. See, now let's take what you said about Charles Barkley. See, it's not just athletes, because he's an athlete that happened to do it. And what did he wind up losing? Access to Michael Jordan.
Right.
So he becomes an example of us in the media. Is like, that's the one thing you don't do.
Don't do.
Yeah, it's nice to do that, but you have to play this game smart as well. There's another way for Barkley to go about doing that without losing access to Michael Jordan. And that's my pushback on you as an athlete don't know how to play this media game. Because in the media, rule number 4081, shout out to Fight Dog, is you don't lose access. We are trained how not to lose access, but still get the point across.
Shout out to Tribe.
If you were a journalist, a true journalist, you would know how to go about getting your point about Michael Jordan across without losing access to Michael Jordan.
Right.
But you're not a journalist, my man. You're an athlete that wants to be a journalist. So don't say to me that I don't know what I'm talking about because I haven't played the game. Because my pushback to you is like, you don't know this game because you don't know how to not lose access and still get your point across. It goes both ways. We just don't call it out that way. And I don't think Charles is in the business of trying to be a journalist. He's not in the business trying to be a reporter. He's in the business to be an analyst. And analysts, to a certain degree, have to take stances. It's just how you go about taking those stances and not losing, your access. Now, I want to finish with this. And I don't want to get long with it, but I think it's important to contextualize everything that we're saying.
Got you. Yeah, understood.
Isn't it interesting how this is the only area where we have this conversation about people's qualifications being challenged because they didn't participate in the subject matter in which we're talking about? Sports, especially basketball, but sports happens to be one of those, the only one I can think of where that dynamic is publicly challenged by those who participate as subjects against those who are on the outside telling the stories of those who are participating in that activity. Because I have never, ever, ever in my life seen anyone, any politician, any elected official come on CNN and tell a reporter or tell an analyst, you can't say shit because you've never been elected to office. Have you ever seen that before? Have you ever seen an actor or an actress ever tell somebody from Vanity Fair, ever tell a reporter from People Magazine, ever tell anybody from Associated Press, you are not qualified to report or talk about what I do because you never been an actor before. You have never read scripts and had to come on camera and do what I do. Have you ever seen somebody in the medical field? Have you ever seen a doctor, a general surgeon? Have you ever seen somebody who ran a hospital come at anybody that is a journalist covering the field of medicine and tell them they're not qualified for what they're talking about because they've never been in an operating room, because they've never been in general practice? Have you ever seen somebody who covers law?
Let him cook. Let him cook.
You know what I'm saying? Have you ever seen somebody that covers law have a lawyer tell them you do not have the right to stand there, or have a judge tell them you do not have the credibility to speak about the Supreme Court or speak about law because you've never practiced law, because you've never been elected as judge? Have you ever seen any of that happen? The answer is no. So why in sports do we have the subject matters attacking the people that are telling the stories?
That's a good point, Scoop.
That's a incredible point. And that shit's gonna go viral. We gotta go to quarter number 4. Quarter number 4. We in the home stretch of the NBA season, and play-in is about to start real soon, and playoffs are gonna start right after that. Who do you have? I know we talked about this before, and we're gonna get Scoop's predictions, but who do you have winning it all in the 2024 season?
Man, I think it's definitely going to listen. I said last time I was here, I had the Clippers. I don't know what's going on with the Clippers lately. They do not look good. And
man, listen, what did I tell you?
The Clippers
going clip.
Yo, they don't look good at all. And Denver, they are
going clip.
And
I love it.
Denver
I love it.
looking super tough. I said Boston out the East. I hate Boston's offense in the fourth quarter and in clutch moments. I hate the one-on-one ISO basketball. Denver has an offense that you cannot stop with the Murray and Jokic pick and roll. I don't see anybody beating Denver. I don't want Denver to win. I want to see a new champion, but I don't see anyone beating them. Their game is so fluid. They got everyone in the right positions at the right times. They never get blown out. They're always in games. And the minute they want to turn on that pick and roll with Jokic and Murray, you can't defend it. You can't defend it. And all their other ancillary players know exactly where to be on the floor at the right time to do their job. KCP, my man that does all the dunking.
Aaron Gordon.
Aaron Gordon is always in a dunker spot. Michael Porter's always in the corner knocking down threes. Like, they're just a well-oiled machine. I got to change my pick. The Clip. I'm sorry, Clipper gang. I'm off y'all. Listen, I'm off y'all, man. Listen, I was rooting for y'all. I want to see my guys.
Clip.
I want to see the bros do something, man. I want the bros to do something, but I'm sick. I know they not. I know.
Listen, man, the basketball guys don't change. Clippers going Clip and Knicks going Nick. That's just how it is.
Denver.
That's just what it is, bro.
Denver again. That's my pick. I'm sorry.
Scoop.
Cup, you said everything I was feeling, and last night when Kawhi went out with back spasms, I'm like, here we go.
Back spasms.
This is it.
Clips going Clip, Scoop.
No, that's it. But I agree, and I'm not saying this to disagree because I do agree, but the reason I think we haven't said this from the beginning, and we look at teams like the Clippers, and maybe look at or say at the beginning of the season that, or sometime during the season that before Embiid went down, Philly had a chance, or why even people are screaming orange and blue skies or whatever because the Knicks got hot or whatever whatever, is because Denver's finally playing right now the way they should have come out the gates playing.
Mm-hmm.
Denver, and that's it's fine if this is what their plan was. Like, we don't need to come out the gates and act all 82 as if we're defending our title. Mm-hmm. Let's pace ourselves. Let's not demand too much of ourselves. Let's not go and try to make a statement. And when that time comes after All-Star break, with about 30 games left, we figure we are. Then let's start getting our groove back in. Jamal Murray, take your time. Jokic, just do your thing. All of a sudden, and I think we're finally starting to see it. And I also think they've answered possibly in these last post All-Star games. The other thing that was hanging over the head of why people weren't just rushing in and selecting Denver from the get-go,
right,
is the Bruce Brown situation and him not being there.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all gonna miss him. But
Mm-hmm.
I think between Reggie Jackson and KCP, we're okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? If they do, they can fill that role in a playoff situation, especially Reggie Jackson, who didn't have that much impact in the finals run last year, but now he has a capability that Brown's not there to be that dog on the court.
Mm-hmm.
And we're hoping that Michael Porter Jr. is going to play much better in the playoffs, especially in the finals, than he did last finals. He only had one game in the finals. He disappeared.
Yeah,
but now that he's got that out of his belt, you're going to see a better version of him. You're going to see a better version of Aaron Gordon because he knows what it's like now. You're going to see KCP is that defending the title thing is usually pretty good once the playoffs start, because if you got the same people there who have been there before, it's not new to them. You know what I'm saying? It's really not new to them. And no disrespect, but anybody outside of Kawhi on that Clippers team, being in that Western Conference final is going to be new to them.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And going against a team that already got the chip, they're going to be very hard to beat, especially if they remain where they are right now. Right now, it looks like they turned on the switch. The bad thing about it is that, and this is what bothers me, is that once the finals ended last year, tell me if I'm wrong, it was a little premature, but it was still there. The early conversation about Nikola's greatness started coming into public conversation. Am I right?
Yes,
they started talking about already with this one chip, where's his place in history?
Yeah.
Right? The problem I have is that Denver had the chance to really take advantage of that by separating themselves from everybody and entering into a legacy conversation by playing this way all season long, but they chose not to.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? My thing, and this is what makes you start appreciating people like Michael Jordan and appreciating the greatness of their Bull squad, appreciating, that those San Antonio's teams, appreciating the Golden State Warriors. When you see them come out the gates after winning and not take a relax. You know what I'm saying? We'll wait till the second half of the season. They came out the gates trying to still establish their greatness and let people know, no, this isn't, we don't want you all talking about us for 1 year.
Right.
We want y'all talking about us for 25 years.
And don't forget that Miami Heat team that won 27 games straight.
Yeah, I mean,
they
came out the gate. They could be in the conversation. I think, but I'm talking about, but how many chips did that team win?
Yeah. Two.
Okay. I'm not, so when I'm talking about Denver they're going on their second. The teams I mentioned.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, but
I'm just saying, what after they won a chip, they came out smoking we gonna prove to y'all this ain't a one-time thing. We gonna get at y'all all season. That's what type time they were on. Right,
but my thing is that okay, do that again and do that again and do that again because I need to see that thing for the whole thing out.
Right.
You get, and I need to say the whole thing out. If they had played the second half of that season that way, if they let's remember when San Antonio lost to that Miami Heat team,
2013. Yep.
And what did they do the next year?
Came out the gate smoking.
Shit.
And what did they do throughout the play? They came back like they were like. And once again, I'll throw another phrase: avenging my brother's death.
Yeah,
on some Symphony Marley Marl shit, right?
Facts.
Now I'm sounding like the black mad dog in hip hop. Let me stop that.
Nah, because we're gonna get into that after this.
About that.
But what I'm saying is that San Antonio came back like they were on a mission. Like Miami, y'all didn't even win that finals. We gave that to y'all.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all luckily got that. We're going to prove y'all and separate ourselves from everybody else.
That's what they did. You're right.
And I wanted to see that from Denver all season long. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All season long, because that's how you get in that conversation. Not just happen after you win the second ring, but you have to start off that way. And you have to continue it. You know what I'm saying? Now, I mean, even though I think the Lakers pulled off every now and then, the Lakers with Shaq and Kobe.
Yeah.
And that was a lot to do with Shaquille, because Shaquille was never about like having, and I think I spoke about that in the Slam magazine piece we did on Shaq. Shaq was never about greatness. He was about dominance. And he split the hairs on what that looked like.
Yes,
Shaq wasn't about like getting the record all the time. I don't care about winning 70 games. I don't care about like going through the playoffs. And look, all I want is stacked chips. However that looks, I'll do that. So I ain't built for this 100-game season. No, seriously, I'm gonna give you 60 games, and it's gonna start after All-Star break. Basically, the Denver Nuggets are a full team version of the way Shaquille O'Neal approached the game. Right, yeah. Exactly. And me, I'm a fan of seeing greatness like push yourself. You know what I'm saying? I want to see greatness push yourself. And when the conversation started about not only Denver winning the first title, in the city's history, but also Joker being in his eye, is he one of the greatest center ever's conversation? All right, let's see if this is where can we go with this? If y'all start the conversation, I want to see where you all can take the conversation.
Right.
I want to see what greatness looks like. I want to see this. And the fact that they didn't, that even if they do win it this year, I don't know if they, really continued that conversation. It may be early. They can do something. Like if they go through the playoffs, seriously, they can rectify this. If they go through the playoffs and do something that hadn't been done undefeated, or with only losing one game, and we enter that conversation,
yeah.
Then we're like, okay, cool. Now can you do, once again, now that y'all got two, can y'all enter that 3-piece stage where you're in another conversation? Can y'all come back and start chasing? Doing like seriously, doing what the Golden State Warriors did. Like, we're gonna try to be great. We won the championship, but now we're gonna come out and try to like break the record and still try to win another championship again. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to see that love. I want to see a commitment.
Yeah.
Totally I want to see a commitment to GOATness. And Denver had a chance in my mind to come out the gates doing that this season, and they didn't. And since they didn't, that's why I think a lot of us were hesitant to like crown them as being future champions this year early in the season. But now they're looking like the team we wanted to see starting off in October. So there's going to be a lot of us jumping back on that bandwagon. But we're not jumping on it for the sake of jumping on it. We're jumping on it now because now you've shown us that this is what you all are finally about. You should have showed this to us in October and November.
Yeah. Right. And we're going to leave it on that note. That is the game. Hey, y'all won. I don't know if you know this, but we play this like I thought I told you in the email. We play this like a game. And the first 9 or 10 episodes, I was the shit. Now I'm on some kind of losing streak. Y'all won 77-72. Get that. The producer keeps the score. I don't know what type of shit he on now. You know what I'm saying? But
look, when you sent me an email and told me they would keep the score, I'm like, all right, well, I gotta come with some. I gotta come with some mic level stuff.
Right. We play it like a game, man.
Play it like a game.
It's the game we love, man. So
the game ain't a game, son. The game ain't a game.
Yeah, I gotta read that. By the way, I gotta read that. That's a great plug that you know.
I'm glad you caught it.
Yeah, I caught it.
I
caught that. We're gonna get in the OT. OT is not overtime. OT is off topic, where we talk about something non-basketball related. This week, we are going to talk about our top 5 favorite, not what you think is the greatest, our top 5 favorite hip-hop albums of all time. And Rand, I'm going to start with you. I know this is right up your alley.
This is up my alley, man. So we talking about favorite, not best. Our personal favorite. So my favorite album all time, this is probably for a sick reason. It's probably going to be Joe Budden, All Love Lost.
Wow.
You gotta give 4 more.
I'm gonna tell you why, because I was going through a divorce when he dropped that album, and that shit helped me through my divorce. If y'all ever heard All Love Lost, it is like 12 tracks of everything you need to say to a woman going through a breakup.
This guy always finds a way to bring up his divorce.
I'm telling you, bro, like that shit saved my life. All Love Lost, Joe Budden, my favorite album of all time. The next 4 I'm gonna drop are just albums that, again, probably not the best, but I can play them from front to back all the time and rock out. I could drive across the country, Jersey to Cali, with these albums. Give me DMX's Dark and Hell is Hot, Jay-Z Dynasty. Give me Nas Illmatic.
Yep.
And last, I would probably go, let's say Purple Tape. I'm gonna go Purple Tape, or I'm gonna go maybe Capital Punishment at the 5th spot. I would probably go back and forth with those 2.
All right, Scoop, you want me to go, or you want to?
Yeah,
you want to
go. You go. You go.
Okay.
You go. You go. You go.
All right, okay. My favorite all-time favorite hip hop album is Notorious B.I.G. Ready to Die.
Yeah.
Number 2 is is the first hip hop album I ever bought with my own money, and that is when I was 9 years old. I snuck and bought Ice Cube's America's Most Wanted. 3, you already said the Purple Tape, so I'm not gonna go with anything you said, even though the Purple Tape is in there for me. But 3, I'm gonna go a different Wu-Tang album, and this is Supremely Stepped On, and I use Supremely, because it's Supreme Clientele from Ghostface Killer. I absolutely love that album. Number 4, I listened to this album, Scoop, no lie. This was 1994, same time Slam came out. So I know you're gonna remember this too. MC from Long Island. Listen to Keith Murray for a year straight. The most beautifulest thing in this world.
The most beautifulest thing in the world.
My last one. My dad is a huge PE fan. That's his favorite group. Okay. So all I used to listen to in 88 was It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back.
Yep. There it is.
Those are mine.
Well, I'm piggybacking on that because that's my first one.
Okay.
It Takes a Nation. And to me, mine is kind of mixed between favorites and what I consider on my
That's
GOAT
cool.
list. It's kind of a combination, but It Takes a Million, Illmatic, To Pimp a Butterfly.
Oh, wow.
Miseducation of Lauryn Hill.
Wow.
And here's where my friends always get on me about this, because I always have like one extra. There's always a tie somewhere because I can't. It's like the Kobe Tim Duncan thing. There's always a tie. And in this particular case, it's a tie. And I can't separate one from the other of what favorite is. Eric B. and Rakim's Let the Rhythm Hit 'Em. Not
the
paid first in full. Not paid in full.
Wow.
Let the Rhythm Hit 'Em, because every song on there is just it's crazy. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. I think Paid in Full had bigger hits.
Yeah.
But Let the Rhythm Hit 'Em, just every song on there. And they were just in a space, I think, musically, where Rod and Eric, they were just on something. But the tie where I can't split on favorites on that is the DOC's No One Can Do It Better.
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
Because to me, and this is nothing against what Dre did with anybody, especially Dre on his own albums. You know what I'm saying? From, Chronic to Compton, everything, whatever. I still, to me, from a production standpoint, this is Dre at his best. And this is no way in slighting Eminem. I think M is, M is on some God shit when it comes to this thing.
Okay.
But I still believe DOC is the best MC Dre's ever fucked with. And I think that album is indicative on that.
I don't have any argument with that.
Because before he got the vocal cord situation, I don't know. Listen to that album and listen to how many different styles
Word.
DMX gives you, especially when you're dealing with speed of song and vocal.
Yeah.
There's no song on that album that sounds alike.
Right.
Every song on there sounds different. And that's why I think
talking on there too.
Dude, he's telling you, like, it's one of those situations to me where, like, if an alien came down and said, all right, man, show me what a real MC is, he'd be one of the 3 MCs. I'd be like, all right, I'm going to give you LL Cool J. I'm going to give you Jay-Z. I'm going to give you DOC. And I'm probably going to give you Biggie. This is what an MC is, and probably KRS-One. These are MCs. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is the embodiment of what an MC is and what an MC has the ability to do on all scales. He'd be in there, and that's strictly based on one album.
Scoop, you my man. You my man. I gotta shoot at you though, Scoop. I'm sorry. You my man. I gotta shoot at you.
Okay.
The Eminem statement.
Oh my God.
The Eminem statement.
Oh my God.
Scoop. Listen, what Eminem can do with this is my house, right? Listen, what Eminem can do with words, his wordplay is probably top 5 all time in music. But Scoop, what the hell was Eminem talking about? What was he talking about, bro? Like, come on. I think we give Eminem credit for his ability with words, but what did Eminem spend majority of his career actually talking about?
A lot of times shit that we're not connected to.
Okay.
Yeah, word.
All right.
But is it his responsibility to say stuff that we're connected to when he has a whole other audience that connects with everything he's talking about?
Yeah, yes and no. So
okay,
yes,
here's my thought. How old are you, Red?
I'm 41.
Okay. Who is the greatest funk group artist ever?
The greatest funk group?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably Parliament.
What the fuck was George Clinton talking about?
I don't know what the fuck he was talking about.
Exactly.
But Scoop, but that's not hip hop.
Exactly.
That's not
hip hop. No. It's music. Look. Now, if you want to get genre specific, then you're putting a category on what hip hop can possibly be, and you're boxing in what hip hop actually is. Now, if you're looking at it as a genre, fine. But if you're looking at it as a musical contribution, if you're looking at it as music, then you have to be open to it, because you can't start categorizing what hip hop is and not do the same with funk, and not do the same with jazz, and not do the same with classical, not do the same with country. You know what I'm saying? My thing is that, so what I'm saying is that you can't say, unless you want to, because like you said, it's your house. You can't say that George Clinton is the greatest funk, Parliament funk, whatever, is the greatest funk, but I don't know what the fuck they talking about. But Eminem is not the greatest, but I ain't know what the fuck he talking about, only specific to a genre. Because are there rules in this genre that don't apply to this one?
Got you. Point well made. I'm not backing down off of it. Eminem ain't talk about shit his whole career. My man can say a lot with words. He can put a lot of words together. His wordplay is up there with Black Thought, Big Pun. What they do with words, top notch. I hate the Eminem addition into the hip hop conversation.
Oh my!
I hate it.
My thing is this: he's speaking to something that somebody does understand, though. It's not for us. You know what I'm saying? It's not for us. So if you want to say that all hip hop has to be understood by the quote unquote hip hop audience, then that's fine. But I don't want to act like Eminem is speaking alien. You know what I'm saying? There's some people that understand, and his people, what he's saying is for somebody.
It's for a lot of
It's almost like, for a lot of stuff, right? It's almost like we can talk about Trump all we want to, but still 70 million motherfuckers voted for that man.
Yeah, that's facts.
You know what I'm saying? Now, he's speaking to somebody. we don't have to, we can ignore them, but to not acknowledge them are two different things. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm not going to acknowledge Trump's greatness, but I'm going to acknowledge the fact that he's a politician. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to take out the fact that he's
shit. I mean,
right. So what I'm saying is with Eminem is that he's not speaking anything that we connect to. He's speaking a language to somebody else that connects to that language. Now, Red, I want you to understand this. My pushback with Eminem, and I agree with you on wordplay, but it's not what he's saying that I have a problem with him. And that's why, I mean, I'll give him credit for what he's able to do, but he's not on my top 10 or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? If I had a top 10, he's not, because it's the way he says it that bothers me. Mm-hmm. Eminem has one cadence.
Yeah.
Every song sounds the exact same in pitch, and output.
Some cartoon shit
and tone.
No, it starts off some way. It starts off some way, then builds up to the same angst. Mm-hmm. Every song is the exact same way. Mm-hmm. There's no change in mood or energy or expression in Eminem. They all say the words may be different, but everyone sounds the same. You can put a tracing paper on it and be like, oh, here's how song's gonna go. And it makes him as an MC too predictable.
Yeah.
We just got to talk about the DOC, how none of the songs sound the same. You know, the one thing that stood out on like Rakim's let the rhythm hit him. The song Mahogany don't sound like anything else on there. Mm-hmm. It's basically a slow song, but it's a slow song for hard dudes. You know, things like LL was good at that doing. So Jay-Z, because you know, there's some dexterity in there's no dexterity in Eminem's delivery.
Absolutely.
And that's my fallback on him. It's not what he says. It's the way he says it. As an MC, he shows no range. He shows you one singular thing. Gotcha. I wish he would switch up sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes give you slow stuff that it stays slow. Sometimes give you, low-key emotion where it's sometimes gives you a sense of humor where it stays there. Sometimes, just give you different things, man, but the energy is the exact same on every song, or just about every song, or enough of the songs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. We going go ahead, finish it. Go ahead, finish your point.
No, but that's my pushback on like throwing Eminem in the greatest categories, and having an issue with that. And I take that in consideration when I evaluate like who's the dopest MCs or who's that Mount Rushmore or this, that, and the other, or why none of Eminem's albums are in the top favorites, or why his songs, because it's too hard to separate, because they all sonically sound the exact same and the pitch is the same. His performance is the same on every song. You're like, oh, dude, come on now. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Can we get a variety of things?
Yeah, gotcha.
Can we get a variety? It's almost like, and I'll say this the wrong way, and I'm not saying he's not a great actor, but if you take Bill and Ted's Greatest Adventure, out of the mix, Keanu Reeves has been doing the exact same thing, playing the same role his entire acting career.
Yeah.
It's the same character. You know what I'm saying? His mood is the exact same thing, and that's fine. But to be in that conversation, dude, we got to see some range. You know what I'm saying?
Got you.
We need to see some range. Because range, when you're talking about greatness, to me, is an important category. And as I understand, not getting everything or a lot of things or most of the context of which Eminem spits, I know that's not for me. But I'm going to respect the fact that he has the ability to spit.
Sure.
But now when we come to that range category, I got an issue because, dude, it's starting to seem singular. It's starting to seem very singular. And I will say this, and I know this is going to be blasphemy, especially coming out of Philly. But that's one of the biggest problems, and he's one of my favorite MCs
you're gonna talk about
that I have with Black Thought. You know what I'm saying?
Scoop, we don't got enough time for this conversation.
We don't
have enough.
don't.
Scoop,
Oh
you
my
open
God.
the door.
Wait,
We got to holler at Scoop another time. Scoop, you going? Nah, Scoop.
Hold on, Rand. Scoop.
But wait. I'll say this. But I blame that more on the roots than I do thought.
Oh, okay.
Because musically, as an MC, you kind of gauge on what the music gives you, for the most part, correct?
Thought is an alien with the pen.
Ain't no doubt about it. But I'm talking about range. I'm not saying with the pen. I'm talking about range. Just range.
Scoop, my producer over here to the left is saying, D, don't get started. I got to acquiesce because I'll keep going now. Scoop,
I'm involved now. I'm like, this is wild.
Hold on, check
can't do this.
Check this out, Scoop. Like Neil, our super producer Neil, is a stickler for time. Like we gotta be on time with everything because we so boom. But he's so into this. This is the first time ever in this show's history. He's like, fuck it.
He's going crazy over here right now.
I sat through. We had a hip hop podcast for a while, and as soon as you said that, I was like, we're in trouble. We can't. I'm invested. But yeah, we have to have you back on.
Yeah. We definitely, Scoop. We definitely gotta have you back on, man. It's always dope talking to you, bro, and appreciate you coming on High IQ Basketball and giving us your thoughts on Slam's 30th anniversary, on all the stuff that's going on in the game that we love so much, which is the game of basketball. We appreciate you, man. You're a legend. Keep doing what you're doing, brother. And hopefully we get to talk to you soon.
Salute,
brother. No, we will. Ain't no doubt about it. Just like, let's not make it 6 years or anything like that.
Yeah, no doubt. And definitely going to see you at the hall, and we bringing the red cups.
Oh, cool. That sounds good. I have one already in hand, so we're good. We're good.
All right, man. Appreciate you, brother.
Appreciate y'all.
All right. If you're going to a baby shower and you need a gift, I have the perfect solution for you. Go to Honeybee Cakes on Macari. Honeybee Cakes specializes in affordable diaper cakes. They make the perfect gift for the new addition to the fam. Search Honeybee Cakes on Macari today. Hey everybody, this is Brian Isley, comedian extraordinaire, asking you guys to download Logo, the Isley album, and Uno, the One Take album. I have 3 albums. They're all on Spotify. They're all on iTunes. They're all on Tidal. Streaming well right now, but I need more support. I need you guys to go and download these albums, man. Download Logo, Laugh or Get Offended. Download the Isley album and download Uno, the One Take album. And they are available where you stream all your music. They're hilarious because I made them. So download these albums today and get your laugh on.
How you doing? This is Neil Wood from the Cult of Us podcast, speaking on behalf of Drop 10 Media Network, the network you're currently listening to. Make sure to check out all the other podcasts on the network. You can go to drop10.com to check them all out. Make sure to like, subscribe on everything that you see Drop 10 on. We appreciate it. Go to drop10.com now.
I'ma have to tie up my Nikes for this one. I'ma go for like a quadruple double. We playing the game to win, and greatness come from within. The only time you lose if you only never begin. Gotta be like the shoes and just do it. The clock is winding down, so now shoot it. If fortune favors the bold, that's why I keep on just winning. If timing is just the essence, then I'ma keep on just spending. I'm worth a couple of bucks, shout out to Antetokounmpo. Dropping in Bebo facts that's seeping into your glue buds. Advising like Tony Kukoc, we getting into it mucho. Directing all these plays like my name was Tony Russo. Ballin', that's how we do, so I'm going in for the win. Penetrate the lane like we way back in 2010. I'm stomping straight in my Timbs. The basics just like I'm Tim. I'm dunking on you haters. A poster is where you live. It's magic all in my wrist. That Curry, we going swish. It's showtime like the 80s. Basketball is where we live. I'm highly gifted and skilled. I'm going in for the kill. The game is on the line. Raymond Byrd, hey yo, what's the deal? Pass it to Brian Isley. I bet he probably surprised me. High IQ basketball is the show and it's not a hobby. We playing the game to win, and greatness come from within. The only time you lose if you only never begin. Gotta be like the shoes and just do it. within. The only time you lose will be only never begin. Gotta be like the shoes and just do it. The clock is winding down.
This has been a Drop Tent Media production.